Alright, what's going on, everybody? How's it going? So here's another random video I'll be doing with my truck. My plan today is these beautiful fender flares right here that go above the tires. I'm going to be repainting them. And they're like faded gray now, but they used to be black. So we're gonna repaint them, and I'm gonna walk you through and show you how to actually do it properly and make it clean and nice so it looks good for your vehicle. So let's go over what we need. So as for my truck, the 2001 Nissan Frontier, you want to be using a Phillips 2x1 or 1.5 inch screwdriver, so you can fit it in there between the tire and the actual fender flare. And I've never really done this before, but I'm trying to go off some other videos I found, but these are the things you're going to want. So right here you've got a tarp. I'm going to be taking the fender flares off and putting it on the tarp, and that's where I'll be cleaning it. Then right here we have prep spray, which is going to be cleaning and degreasing the actual fender flares, so to get all that nasty stuff off the fender flares that's been there for years. And then after doing that, then you're gonna use the microfiber cloths to wipe it down and clean it up. And then we'll apply some primer, apply a few coats, and then rub it off with some sandpaper. And then at the end, we're gonna apply the trim and bumper paint. So I'm trying to make it black. So this is black, and this is actually gray, but black is darker than gray, so it'll work out. But these are all the things you're gonna want. And yeah, let's get to it. Alright, so first, when you're starting to remove the fender flares, you gotta find the screws. And for mine, you have a screw right here, and then you have a screw there, and it kind of just lines across the top. One there, there, one there, and then one down here. And that'd be for this fender flare, and then for this one, kind of the same thing, both corners and going around the top. So let's start getting to removing. Alright, so the fender flares have been removed. Ignore the tire that's not on my truck anymore. I had a stripped screw and I could not remove it. There's my battery. But anyways, removed all of the fender flares and I cleaned it up. It was really filthy. So yeah, now I'm gonna get to work at actually cleaning these babies. Let's do it. Also, one more thing before you get to work on cleaning up and priming up and painting your fender flares, you should also be wearing gloves, and you should also be wearing a mask, because those fumes can be pretty potent and your hands can burn pretty bad. So just a heads up. Alright, so to start it off, we're going to add some prep spray, and we want to apply this directly to the fender flares. So we're going to spray it on, and then we're going to wipe it down with a microfiber cloth. So let's get to work. Alright, I've applied one coating of this. I'm going to add one more coating to make sure it's really clean. Alright, so we've already done 2 coats of the cleaning and degreaser. Next, we're going to be wanting to add our primer. And we're going to be using this so we have a surface that the paint that we're going to apply after the primer can stick on very well and actually stay. So let's start applying. And we're also going to want to do a few coats of it, so 3 coats at least. Alright, the first coating of primer has been added. And now we gotta wait a few hours, and then we can add our second layer, and then eventually add our third layer. So I'll cut to whenever we've added all 3 layers, and then we can move on to painting. Yay! Let's do this. Alright, after multiples on multiples of hours for the primer to set in and dry so I could add 3 layers to each fender flare, finally I've gotten all 3 layers in. So now I've got to wait a couple more hours, and then we can start sanding off the primer, and then we'll start applying the paint. So I'll get back in just a jiffy after 2 hours. Alright, so a couple hours have passed, and these have been chilling out with the primer. So now, after putting the 3 layers of primer on, we're going to sand it down and get all that nasty extra texture off of them. So then we can actually apply some pretty nice paint on top, and it would look perfect and beautiful. So we're going to do that right now. Okay, so I just applied some light sanding to the fender flares, and they've got a little bit of like scratch stuff in there, but it's from the sandpaper, of course. But that's supposed to be helping us in actually getting some paint applied, so it all looks very nice. So next is actually applying the paint, and then these should look pretty freaking beautiful. So yeah, let's get to it. Alright, now it's time to apply the paint. And I've got black paint here, so these fender flares are going to be black. And after applying 2 to 3 coats and waiting 10 minutes in between, they should be good. But after that, I'm going to let them sit out for a little while longer just to make sure they're perfect. But anyways, let's get to spraying. Alright, the first coating of black paint has been added. And right now, it doesn't look perfect, but that's alright. It's just the first coating. And I'm going to apply 2 more coatings after this. And then it should be looking full on black. And it'll be good to go. So I'll get back whenever all of it is done. Done and covered. Alright, so after a day has passed, we have covered the fender flares with 3 coats of paint, and they've dried up pretty well, and now they look really good. So next I'm going to be putting these on the truck, and we're going to see the difference in the results. So let's go and put them on. Alright, I have now put the fender flares on the truck, and they look awesome. This is just discolored because the bumper's not black, but the fender flares have been painted fully black, and it looks a whole lot better. So yeah, that's how you paint plastic vehicle parts, and that's how you redo the paint for fender flares and other plastic parts. So I hope this was helpful. Have a nice day.